Hello there and welcome to this Flipchart Friday video. I'm David Duffett and I'm with Let the Geek Speak, and as you can see I'm back in my Brazil football shirt because today, Friday, Brazil are playing in the World Cup again. I believe it's Cameroon that they're against, and I thought I'd better get this video recorded quickly because I know from previous experience recording these videos out here in Brazil that when Brazil score, there's a huge amount of commotion, lots of cheering and shouting from other houses, and a lot of fireworks going off. So I'm getting this video done now so that A, I can go and watch the game myself, and B, we're not punctuated by lots of cheering and fireworks and all kinds of stuff like that. Now, before I start talking about the outcome agreement, which is the subject of today's video, I just want to remind you that there's a channel full of videos called Let the Geek Speak on YouTube. Please do visit it if you've not been there already, and subscribe, and then using your other thumb or even the same one, you can click the notification bell so that you will be told when new videos are added. And as far as this video is concerned, once you've watched it, if you appreciate the content, then do click the like so that other people know that they can use it too. Now, I want to speak about an outcome agreement because in my opinion and in my experience, far too often when technical people are asked to deliver a presentation, the first thought they have is, let me get my laptop and start fiddling around with some slides on Prezi or PowerPoint or Keynote or whatever. Maybe they've got an existing slide deck and they are going to shuffle them around a bit, take one out, put a couple of new ones in and just change the order and maybe change the content of a couple of slides. Now, it's good that there's some degree of preparation going on, but I would submit to you that actually it's a very worthy thing to do, to kind of step back before you pick up a laptop or anything else and think about the overall outcome that you're looking for from the presentation, both in terms of the bigger picture, the wider context as I've put it here, and the actual presentation as well. Because presentations are designed to achieve objectives at two levels. The wider context is what we're trying to achieve as a business, as an organisation, or as us individually, if we're consultants or trainers or whatever, and we're delivering a presentation for a specific purpose. That wider context could be, if you're a consultant, to gain more clients, or it could be to demonstrate thought leadership so that when people want the kind of services that you provide as a consultant, they think about you. But then in the actual presentation, we've got some specific objectives that we want to achieve within that time frame, within the 30 or 40 minutes or whatever we're doing. So let me just first say that we need to define the outcome of the presentation as we're thinking about it in terms of two different things. The overall aim of the presentation, what it is we're trying to achieve, and remember there's two levels, the wider context and specifically to the presentation, and then if there is a level of detail in the presentation, we might enumerate some specific objectives. Okay, so we might lay those out and identify those. So I call it an outcome agreement because it does need to be agreed between a maximum of three groups. Yes, three groups. One of them is you, because you're the person delivering the presentation. The other group is the audience of the presentation. And the third group is the sponsor. The sponsor is the person that asked you to do the presentation in the first place. So that could be a boss, it could be a conference organizer, it could be a colleague from another department that wants you to get involved. Whatever the context, there's probably somebody that asked you to do the presentation. Now, in the case of their not being an immediately obvious sponsor, maybe you're a coach or a consultant or a trainer of some kind and you're operating independently and you want to go to speak at this particular conference in order to attract more business or build your reputation or whatever it might be. In that case, we would take the sponsor as being the conference organizer. Not that they asked you to do it in the first place, but you're submitting a talk to them and they've kind of got the final say about whether your talk is included. So those are the three parties: yourself as the presenter, the audience, and the sponsor. Now you might be thinking, well, hang on a minute, I'm not sure that I can actually get in touch with the audience ahead of the presentation. Well, if you genuinely can't, then show the outcomes that you're looking to achieve at the beginning of your presentation and get them agreed with the audience there and then. But I would say that a lot of the times you can at least have contact with a member of the audience or somebody that knows the audience, a representative or something like that. But always a good idea to try and get in touch if you can to make the presentation as appropriate as possible, because this outcome agreement should ideally be agreed by all three parties before you get to deliver the presentation. So let's think about this wider context. So the wider context around a presentation could be to make sales. It could be to minimise the number of tech support calls that come in every week to your company. It could be to build the brand of your company so that people begin to recognise it and associate it with a certain kind of service or solution. So there's this wider context. Again, coming back to that consultant example, if you're a consultant that relies on gaining individual clients, maybe you're delivering the presentation and you're going to teach your audience about something, but the kind of bigger picture is you're trying to attract new clients. And so maybe you're trying to build an email list or recruit people as clients or whatever it might be. So that's the wider context, the bigger picture, if you like. And then at that lower level, that more detailed level, you're going to have an aim and some objectives possibly around the actual presentation. Let me give you an example from my experience in the world of Asterisk. I ran a conference called Astricon for 7 or 8 years, and of course we would have lots of presentations submitted, and we would have descriptions of the presentations, so very specific things. But if I was delivering a presentation, I'd make that specific outline, but then I'd also be considering the bigger picture of what I'm trying to achieve. So that's all this video today is about, is to encourage you to take a step back and to think about the outcomes you're looking to achieve at the two different levels. Okay, so you need to make the agreement between yourself, the audience, and your sponsor for the actual specifics of the presentation, but you also need to think about the wider context. And just linking those two together, in that example about minimising tech support calls to a company about whatever product it might be, you would have that as a wider contextual aim that you're trying to achieve. And so you would go back to the sponsor, who may be the tech support manager that's asked you to deliver this presentation. You might go back a few weeks after the presentation to see whether the number of tech support calls really has been minimised. But at the same time, you have a specific presentation and maybe you're familiarising the salespeople or the technical sales engineers with a bit more of the product so that they can actually convey that to the customer during the sales cycle to minimise the number of kind of first or second week tech support calls. So I just want you to stand back and think about the outcomes and to get them agreed. This can all be done with a single sheet of paper, maybe even just a couple of sentences on an email, but gathering people in and getting them to agree on the outcomes is a very, very valuable thing to do, and it will set your presentation up for success. So I love talking about presentations. I love talking about presentation skills and the tools, tips and techniques that you can use to make your presentations even better. But I love it even more when you actually put these things to work in your own presentations and thus reap the rewards of being a geek that can speak. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.